Number 10. Will Smith. Kicking off our list is husband, father, and professional smack master himself, Will Smith Esquire. In season 3, episode 12 of the series, Jada invited her husband, Will, onto the show so that they could talk and speak openly and publicly about an alleged relationship between herself and the singer August Alsina during a brief separation in 2015. The singer claimed that he had to have Will's blessing to begin the relationship in the first place, despite the pair technically being separated at the time. Jada confirmed that the relationship did in fact take place, but they were on a break, you know? Like, come on, they were on a break. She denies that Will ever gave August permission, you know, but when referring to the situation as an entanglement, Will snapped and he made her correct herself, saying, hey, it's a relationship, okay? Say the word relationship. Now, while it may have been playful, seeing him get mad at all after 2022 just brings pure anxiety into my soul. So please keep calm and Will Smith, go on. Number 9, Leah Remini. Scientology, the gift that just keeps on giving. Well, in 2015, Leah Remini wrote a Scientology exposing memoir called Troublemaker. In said book, Leah recounts seeing Jada appearing at Scientology gatherings, recounting one instance in particular when Jada refused to participate in a game of hide and seek in Tom Cruise's backyard. Why does that sound like the start to just a really bad joke? That actually happened? That's something that happened? Wow. I want to go to Tom Cruise's backyard. When asked on Bravo's Watch What Happens Live for her side of the story, Pinkett-Smith said that she remembered the story differently and that the game was more like adults innocently playing hide and seek with their children. But Remini says she took this as textbook fair gaming, which is a strategy with Scientologists, where they mock and then unrelentingly discredit critics of their religions. Now, on Red Table Talk, Smith explained a series of tweets defending her family and their religious beliefs, later stating that she actually grew up in a fairly liberal household and was allowed to explore all religions and just simply choose for herself which one she wanted to commit to. Now, Remini reminded Pinkett-Smith of her high celebrity status and stated that Remini herself was interrogated for months by the Scientology community after just simply asking one member of the church where the leader's wife was. Like, not if she was alive, just how's she doing, you know? Things ended civilly between the two, with both agreeing that despite the feud and misunderstanding, that it's never too late to heal. Number 8, Nick Cannon. TV personality and full-time baby maker Nick Cannon has been open about his disdain for the series for quite some time, denying multiple requests to appear on the show. But after the show's cancellation last week, Cannon took to Twitter to express his pure joy, stating that the show was toxic and added that there was too much honesty to the program, saying that he just wants to mind his own business and asked that she does the same. He also claimed that if it weren't for his involvement with the program, that husband Will Smith would have never even thought of slapping Chris Rock, and that she somehow stoked the fire that fueled his rage that night. I understand the hate. Red Table Talk got into too much information territory way too many times to be a normal talk show, and Jada seeks out reasons to bring her family on there constantly. Now, I'm all for family drama, but not in front of a camera, you know, being recorded to share for millions of people. I don't need the world to know that. Cannon is no stranger to family drama, but you can just Google that. Number 7, Tom Segura. Comedian Tom Segura was one of many celebrities to speak out after the now infamous Chris Rock incident at the Oscars in 2022. Now, I'll be paraphrasing here as I don't want to just quote a series of bleeps over and over again. That's no fun. So Tom tweeted, "This girl been bald. Jokes about it or her are fine. It was tame AF. You super sensitive about it? Buy a wig." Boom. Roasted. While Pinkett-Smith hasn't herself commented on the posts, many fans were really quick to defend Jada, calling the comedian a bully. Now, fans of Segura know his style, and he kept to that, responding to the haters, comparing their sensitivity to a certain member of his anatomy, before posting a video of him landing in New York City and stating, "Just landed in NYC, you dusty ball-headed female dogs. See you at the show." Personally, I'd love to see Jada and Tom go head-to-head in a roast battle. I would make that a talk show. I'll watch that on Facebook. Number 6, Gabrielle Union. This beef started 17 years ago, a long time to hold a grudge, but what for exactly? Well, they don't know either. Jada brought Gabrielle on the show to address the fact that despite the two always crossing paths and being cold with each other, that they just couldn't remember why. Union called Jada on the phone and they both attempted to piece together what exactly left such a terrible taste in each other's mouths. They tried and tried and tried, but they just couldn't remember it, and eventually Union agreed to appear on the show where the two put the past behind them and they were just able to laugh it off, chalking it up to the drama of young divas. They had a good time on the show, just catching up, discussing life, and it actually turned out to be a pretty heartwarming episode. I know this is a mainly negative list so far, so let's all just take a deep breath, and if you haven't already, click the subscribe button so you can always be a part of the drama. Now, seeing as the show's editors have done their very best to make Jada look good, I will also be including some people who weren't on the show, but were or shared their feelings afterwards or just had some kind of involvement with her. Number 5. August Alsina. Now, mentioned previously in this list, August Alsina is a rapper and the former love interest of the star of our list, Miss Jada Pinkett-Smith. The two first met in 2015 at a concert for Jaden and Willow Smith, and the connection was instant. The two became very good friends as August was going through some substance issues, and Smith was the helpful hand he needed to get through. This would explain why over the time the relationship began to turn romantic. After Jada and Will took a brief break from their marriage, Jada wasn't just left alone. She had a shoulder to cry on. August. August told radio host Angela Yee this past June that he truly and really just deeply loved her. Unfortunately for August, Jada thought that it would be a wonderful idea to bring her husband on the show and air out their dirty laundry. So August was revealed as a secret lover, but the Smiths said that they've reached a level of unconditional love within their marriage. Before being painted as the enemy, August released a statement letting everybody know that I'm always going to be in the driver's seat of my life and control my own narrative. Just steer clear of Will's right hand. It's a bit dangerous. Number 4. Jaden Smith. Another member of the Smith family, Jaden is remembered by many as the little boy from the Karate Kid remake, but he's now mainly known for his rapping and singing chops. Jaden's been living in the shadow of his father from day one, being thrust into the limelight before he even hit double digits. With famous parents comes challenges. One of those challenges seems to be a lack of hugs. Well, that's sad. The Smith kids are famously left to their own devices and have been financially independent from a very young age, meaning they've never really had to ask mom and dad to help buy something for them or even save money for everything because they've just kind of always had it. They make it themselves now. Who needs them? In an episode of Table Talk, Jaden confronted his mother on the way that he was raised, claiming that their style of parenting ruined his life and his ability to connect with people. Now, Jaden has constantly been a good soul in social media and is extremely loyal to his fan base, so don't worry, man, you've got a massive family out there. It's 1 million strong. Let's just not all try to hug him at once. Number 3, Khloe Kardashian. Khloe Kardashian is an American personality and socialite, according to Wikipedia. Present in the media for years, starring alongside her fellow family members of the hit show Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Khloe released a series of tweets a while back claiming that men blaming women in their relationships for all of their problems was invalid and hurtful. And while this is true, many have called out the star on her comments because of a famous interview from Red Table Talk, which is Jordan Woods. Jordan Woods came forward and told the truth about an alleged cheating scandal. The man in question, Tristan Thompson, claimed that Jordan performed a number of provocative acts, but she denies many of these claims. Despite this, Khloe publicly blamed Jordan for the entire breakup of her family and names her as the enemy every time. But during all this, Jada Smith just sat back and watched the drama unfold instead of having anything to do with it. So, yeah, that's kind of worse than what Khloe did. Just saying. Help. Number 2, Chris Rock. In 2022, Chris Rock was hosting the 94th annual Oscars ceremony, where he decided to make a little joke about Jada Pinkett-Smith and her hair loss. Immediately following the joke, which landed for everybody else in the audience, okay, Will Smith stood up, walked on stage, and just clocked Chris right in the face. Now, initially being seen as a planned joke or something between the two, Will then started shouting several times at Rock to keep his wife's name out his mouth. Chris handled the situation well, getting back onto the festivities and just kind of helping the night move on and making it seem like nothing happened. But after Smith won the Oscar for Best Performance, Rock took to social media to address the controversy and let everybody know that he meant no harm, and he felt the response Will had was highly extreme. He also claims that if Jada had found the joke funny, that nothing would have happened. In fact, moments before walking on stage, you can actually see Will Smith giggle. Like, it's almost like she whispered at him, like, "Get him," and it activated some kind of kill code or destruction code, and he just went for it. Jada posted several videos claiming that Rock was dragging the situation out too long and to put the past behind them, but I'm sorry, Smith family, there's no Men in Black mind erasers here, okay? Chris Rock can still hear the ringing in his ears today. Come on. Number 1, Cherie Fletcher. Let me guess, you don't recognize that name. Well, only hardcore Will Smith fans would, because Cherie is Will's ex-wife. Briefly married in the mid-90s, Will and Cherie were adorable together. They were regularly appearing at red carpet events, movie premieres, just adorable, inseparable, wonderful. But behind the screen, things weren't all peachy. It was revealed on an episode of Red Table that Jada Pinkett briefly partook in an affair with Will in 1995. Now, Jada claims that Cherie and Will were towards the end of their relationship and was simply, in her eyes, dating a newly divorced man. But she would later admit that technically that wasn't the case, and while Will was technically divorced hadn't really come into play yet, Cherie discovered what was taking place and went off on the couple. Not long after that, ended her marriage with Will Smith. And in 2018, the two got back together to speak candidly about the incident on Red Table. Definitely an episode worth checking out. Rest in peace, Table Talk!
So starting off our list today in the number 10 spot, we have Meta layoffs. The daytime Emmy Award-winning series Red Table talk show hosted by Jada and her daughter and her mother has been cancelled. The news would come just after Meta started shutting down all of its Facebook Watch original programs. And Red Table talk show would be the last remaining show to be cancelled. With the show being produced by Jada and Will Smith's production company, the Westbrook Studios, Red Table Talk is a show that tackles current social and cultural issues from intergenerational lenses. The news of the cancellation would come after the departure of Mina Lafave, head of development and programming at Meta, amid the layoffs that affected more than 20,000 of the company's employees. However, the show's cancellation doesn't come as a big surprise, as back in 2020, Facebook started scaling back its original scripted programming after removing Sorry for Your Losses and Limetown, with Facebook pulling away from their originals so they can move into a different direction and focus more on users generating content. And Westbrook Studios is now reportedly shopping for a new distributor for the series now that their deal with Facebook has ended. Number 9, lies. When it comes to the Red Table talk show, it has been really hard for fans to connect to the show and the show's main host, Jada Pinkett-Smith. And this has been a real issue for the show, as fans are just having a problem when it comes to believing what is actually coming out of her mouth. As on more than one occasion, some of the things Jada has brought up on her show has had fans calling her out on her lies. With the actor lying about more than one thing on multiple occasions, it makes us wonder if there has been any truth to any of her stories or with any of her guest stories. With Jada lying about almost everything, from the exact details about what happened with her affair on Will Smith, her alopecia condition, and her racial bias towards blonde white women, it has had fans and viewers for years calling out the star for not being completely honest with her audience. With the talk show mainly relying on having a good connection base with its fans, it just seems like the lies aren't keeping the viewers interested any longer. Hey, what's up my little sparkles? Are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never have to miss out on what I might just cover next. So coming back to our list, in the number 8 spot, we have moving platforms. With the Red Table talk being cancelled on Wednesday by Meta, according to The Wrap, the series had completed all of its planned content, but it wasn't invited back to create more, as Meta is trying to move in a new direction. With Jada Pinkett-Smith's show being the last of the Facebook Watch originals, it has now also fallen to the axe. With the show premiering on May 7, 2018, it has often been responsible responsible for causing shockwaves on the internet, as the Hot Topic episodes and the overall content covered were emotional, controversial, or NSFW topics, all while featuring some pretty big celebrity faces. With some fans being upset that the show has now been cancelled, don't give your hopes up just yet, as it's been said the Red Table Talk Show is reportedly looking for a new home, so we could see the show show up on YouTube, Instagram, or even a television network, as the show's production company Westbrook, which happens to be owned by Jada and Will Smith, is reportedly shopping so they can have the series appear elsewhere, in the hopes that they can continue on air with their platform. Number 7. Embarrassed Will Smith. If there's one thing that's true when it comes to the Red Table Talk Show, it's that Jada has a knack for publicly embarrassing Will Smith on the show, as she has done it multiple times in the past, and it's really hard to tell at this point if the actress is doing it on purpose or not. Jada has used the show not only to discuss her feelings about Tupac, mocking a party Will threw for her, and the entanglement, but she also used the platform, which she hosted with her mother and daughter, to reveal some details about her family and marriage on podcast episodes. In one episode, she would find herself being heavily criticized by the public after she invited Gwyneth Paltrow on the show, so the two could have a conversation about intimacy. In the episode, Jada would start to talk about her and Will's love life, and she wasn't really afraid to bring up some issues they had, specifically about how she used to expect that Will could just read her mind and figure out everything she liked in the bedroom, and that she wasn't satisfied when it came to her relationship with him. It just seems like Facebook and the world is just done seeing Will's name being dragged through the mud, and this may be why Meta is looking to branch out in a different direction and cancel their show. Number 6. August Alsina. With Jada also speaking very candidly when it comes to her marriage with Will Smith, she's also even sparked a meme to come after it on her serious emotional talk show. The meme is a screenshot from an episode in which Will and Jada are both discussing their long-term relationship. They even went on to reveal that they had separated for a short amount of time in 2015, and that during this time is when both entered into a so-called entanglement period with other people. They also touched base on the claims made by August Alsina after he came out to say that he had an affair with Jada. The topic of Will crying then started to become a trending topic on Twitter, with a mixed crowd of users using it as a reaction style meme in a humorous way, with others expressing their outrage at his mental health becoming a joke. Jada personally would then become questioned in the process, as people couldn't believe that she would cheat on her husband with her son Jaden Smith's best friend. People also started to question what kind of mentoring she was giving August that left him feeling like he gave his all to their relationship just to be left feeling like he was destroyed. Number 5. Too much Smith family info. When it comes to the Red Table Talk Show, it just seems like Jada gives us all a little too much information about her family's personal lives. The show has literally become one of the weirdest talk shows we have ever seen, and it's not really weird in a good way. With the show possibly being one of the easiest paychecks anyone could ever get in their life, the family has been known to sit in a circle at their house and choose topics to talk about until they run out of time. And during this time, Jada would also reveal all of her family's dirty laundry, and some conversations became seriously disturbing to watch, like the time she dove into the conversation about the birds and the bees and talked about Willow and Jaden's first time and how she knew everything about it. The whole thing just had us questioning if we were watching an episode of The Kardashians or a talk show. But seriously, there were just so many moments that had us all questioning what was going on, and a lot of times we were even questioning what Jada's real motive was. There's just something about a mother that she should never discuss about her children in public, and this was one of those moments. Number 4. Substance issues. When it comes to the topic of narcotics, a lot of channels use the conversation as a trigger word, and they demonetize the video, so the fact that Jada used the Red Table Talk to talk about her past struggles with substances probably didn't sit well with Facebook or Meta. With the actress calling herself a walking miracle after she sat down with her mother and daughter to discuss the dangers of increased alcohol use in women, she would go on to paint a not so pretty picture of herself, after she pretty much labeled herself to be a wild party child back in the day. With the actor admitting that she used to mix both substances and alcohol together, she never considered that the move would cause potential health scares later on in life. She just wanted the feeling to continue, so when she wasn't reaching the same place as she used to when when she was younger, she started doubling up on more just so she could keep going. Eventually, the actor would note that she had a wake-up call when she passed out on the set of The Nutty Professor in 1996. But Jada being so open about the controversial topic scared Meta because they didn't know what other conversation she would have that could push the boundaries and demonetize the videos. Number 3. The Oscars incident. With many topics being covered on Jada's show, including Will's infamous Oscar slap, in which he stormed on the stage after Chris Rock made a poorly received joke about Jada's hair loss, and because Jada used her platform to bring light to the situation, she received a lot of heat over the incident. With Jada starting off the series to say, "This is a really important Red Table talk on alopecia. Considering what I've been through with my own health and what happened at the Oscars, thousands have reached out to me with their own stories." The Matrix star then went on to discuss the Oscar slap, admitting she hopes both Will and Chris will have the opportunity to heal from their altercation. She then further went on to say, "The state of the world today, we need them both. And we all actually need one another more than ever. Until then, Will and I are continuing to do what we have done for the last 28 years. And that's keep figuring out this thing called life together. Thank you for listening." It just seems like there was a time and a place to address this incident, and it really should have been done after Will was finished healing. And the incident shouldn't have been used to bring in more views to the channel. Number 2. Views plummet. It seems like cancelled celebrities will need to find a new platform for their apology tours, as the Red Table talk show hosted by Jada Pinkett-Smith was scrapped by Facebook on Wednesday. With the series being the last Facebook Watch original with a completed final season, it won't be returning to the air. Well, at least not on Facebook. With the show being popular and a staple for many other celebrity social media talk show channels, even though the series started off with some great numbers, over time viewers really started to tune out, and they only started to tune into the show when something big would happen, like Jada talking about her entanglement, or when she decided to bring Jordan Woods onto the channel to talk about her affair with Tristan Thompson, or when she decided to talk about the infamous Oscar slap. With the Red Table talk show hosting some of the most iconic moments in pop culture history, it seems like only some of those moments only brought in a lot of views, as people really weren't interested in the show unless it revealed that more drama was going to be revealed. And over the time, because of this, the show's views just started to plummet. And coming in on our list today at number 1, we have Not Relevant. After having a promising breakout performance as Maureen in the Scream franchise, Jada's career looked like it was heading in the right direction. However, the momentum would stall in 1998 after she nabbed the lead role in the movie Woo, a film Variety described as a graceless, unfunny comedy that brings out the worst in just about everybody involved in it. In the years to follow, Jada would also land a few supporting roles in a few well-received films, but since her role in Scream, her record with critics has been spotty at best. Despite her best efforts, studios haven't really been keen on casting her as a lead lady, and the only really meaty role she's been able to sink into her teeth recently has been on television playing Fish Mooney in Fox's DC crime series Gotham. But even then, she hasn't done really anything impressive on the show, and it shows that Jada Pinkett-Smith isn't really relevant anymore, and it could be the reason why Facebook is choosing to cancel her series.
Number 10. Will Smith. Kicking off our list is husband, father, and it turns out ex-Will Smith. In season 3, episode 12 of the series, Jada invited her husband Will onto the show so they could speak openly and publicly about the alleged relationship between herself and singer August Alsina during their brief separation in 2015. The singer claimed that he had to have Will's blessing to begin the relationship, despite the pair technically being separated at the time and, well, beyond that. Jada confirmed the relationship did in fact take place, but they were on a break. She denies that Will ever gave August permission, but when referring to the situation as an entanglement, Will snaps and makes her correct herself to say relationship instead. While it may have been playful, seeing Will Smith get mad at all after 2022 just brings pure anxiety into my soul. Number 9. Leah Remini. The world of science. It's the gift that keeps on giving. In 2015, Leah Remini wrote a memoir called Troublemaker. In the book, Leah recounts seeing Jada appearing at scientific gatherings, specifically talking about one instance in particular when Jada refused to participate in a game of hide and seek with Tom Cruise in his backyard. Why does that sound like a dream that I had? When asked on Bravo's Watch What Happens Live for her side of the story, Pinkett-Smith said that she remembered things differently and that the game was more like adults innocently playing hide and seek rather than an actual thing. Remini says that she took this as textbook fair gaming, a strategy with scientific folk, where they mock and then unrelentingly discredit critics of their beliefs. On Red Table Talk, Smith explained a series of tweets defending her family and their religious beliefs, and later stated that she actually grew up in a fairly liberal household and was allowed to explore all religions and just kinda chose which ones that she liked for herself. Ramini reminded Pinkett-Smith of her high celebrity status, stating that she was interrogated for months after simply asking one member of the crew where the leader's wife was, like not if she was alive, just how she was doing. Things ended civilly between the two, with both agreeing that despite the feud and misunderstanding, that it's never too late to heal. Ew. Number 8. Nick Cannon. TV personality and full-time baby maker Nick Cannon has been open about his disdain for the series for quite some time, denying multiple requests to actually show up on Red Table Talk. After the show's cancellation, Cannon took to Twitter to express his joy, stating that the show was toxic and added that there was too much honesty on a program, saying that he just wanted to mind his own business and asked if everyone else could do the same thing. He also claimed that if it weren't for his involvement with the program, that husband Will Smith would have never even thought of touching Chris Rock's face, but we now know that that's not the case. I understand the hate. Red Table Talk got into too much information territory way too many times to be a normal talk show, and Jada seeks out reasons to bring her family on the air constantly. I'm all for family drama, but maybe not in front of a camera being recorded to share with millions of people, especially got a book coming out anyway. Number 7. Tom Segura. Comedian Tom Segura was one of many celebrities to speak out after the now infamous Chris Rock incident at 2022. Now, I will be paraphrasing the things Tom says, as I don't want to just quote a series of bleeps over and over again. It gets rough. Tom tweeted, "This girl has been bald. Jokes about it or her are fine. It was tame AF. You super sensitive about it? Buy a wig." Boom. Roasted. While Pinkett-Smith hasn't herself commented on the posts, many fans were quick to defend Jada and call out the comedian as a bully. Fans of Segura know his style, and he kept to that, responding to the haters, comparing their sensitivity to a certain member of his anatomy, before posting a video of him landing in New York City and stating, "Just landed in NYP, you dusty bald-headed snitches. See you at the show." Personally, I'd love to see Jada and Tom go head-to-head in a roast battle. If we could put that on the air instead of everything that's been on the air, that would be great. Number 6. Gabrielle Union. The beef started 17 years ago, a long time to hold a grudge, but why? Well, they don't really know. Jada brought Gabrielle onto the show to address the fact that despite the two always crossing paths and being cold with each other, that neither could remember what caused the tension. Union called Jada on the phone, and they both attempt to piece together what exactly left such a terrible taste in each other's mouth. They tried and tried, but they could not remember, and eventually Union agreed to appear on the show, where the two just kind of put the past behind them and they laughed it off, chalking it up to the drama of young divas. They had a good time on the show, just catching up and discussing life, and it actually apparently turned out pretty okay. I know this is supposed to be negative, but hey, let's all take a deep breath and just enjoy the fact that there was an okay conversation on that show one time, and only one time. Everything else is very bad. Number 5. August Alsina. Mentioned previously in the list, August Alsina is a rapper and the former love interest of the star of our list, Jada Pinkett-Smith. The two first met in 2015 at a concert for Jaden and Willow Smith, and their connection was instant. The two became very good friends, as August was going through some substance control issues at the time, and Smith was this helpful hand that he needed. This would explain why over time their relationship turned romantic after Jada and Will took their brief break from their marriage, but Jada wasn't left alone. August told radio host Angela Yee that he truly and really deeply loved her. That is a direct quote. Unfortunately for August, Jada thought it would be a wonderful idea to bring out her husband Will and air out their dirty laundry on Red Table Talk. August was revealed as a secret lover, but the Smiths say that they reached a level of unconditional love within their marriage. But we all know that they've been separated for 7 years, so that was bull poo poo. Number 4. Jaden Smith. Another member of the Smith family, Jaden is remembered by many as the little guy from the Karate Kid remake, but he's now mainly known for his singing chops and fashion abilities, actually. Jaden has been living in the shadow of his father from day one, being thrust into the limelight before he even hit double digits. With famous parents comes challenges, and one of those challenges seems to be a lack of hugs. The Smith kids are famously left to their own devices and have been financially independent from a very young age, meaning they never really had to ask mom and dad to help buy them something because they just did it themselves. They had the money. They can make that much now. Episode of Table Talk, Jaden confronts his mother on the way he was raised, claiming the style of parenting ruined his life and his ability to connect with people. Jaden has consistently been a good soul in the media and is extremely loyal to his fan base, something that he most certainly didn't learn from his mother. Number 3, Khloe Kardashian. Khloe Kardashian is an American personality and socialite present in the media for years, starring alongside her fellow family members on the hit show Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Khloe released a series of tweets a while back claiming that men blaming the women in the relationship for all of their issues was invalid and hurtful. While this is true sometimes, many have called out the star in her comments during a very famous interview from Red Table Talk in which Jordan Woods came forward and told the truth about an alleged cheating scandal. The man in question, Tristan Thompson, claimed that Jordan performed a number of provocative activities, but she denied many of those claims. Despite this, Khloe publicly blamed Jordan for the breakup in her family and names her as an enemy. During all this, Jada Smith just kind of sat back, watched, and laughed while everything was happening, sipping her tea in a red chair. Number 2, Chris Rock. In 2022, Chris Rock was hosting the 94th annual Oscars when he decided to make a joke about Jada Pinkett-Smith and her hair loss. It was a great joke. Immediately following the joke, which landed for everybody else in the audience, Will Smith stood up, walked on stage, and clocked Chris in the face. Now, initially this was seen as a joke between the two, but then Will started shouting several times at Chris to keep his wife's name out of his mouth. It's still burned into my memory to this day. Chris handled the situation well, getting back to the festivities and just kind of keeping the night going along. But then, Will Smith won the Oscar for Best Actor. Rock took to social media to address the controversy and let everybody know that he meant no harm and felt the response to have been highly extreme. He also claims that if Jada had found the joke funny, nothing would have happened. In fact, moments before walking on stage, you can see Will Smith giggling. It's almost like she whispered, "Get him." And then it activated some kind of a destruct code. Jada posted several videos claiming that Rock was dragging the situation out too long and to put the past behind him. "I'm sorry, Smith family, no Ben and Black mind eraser things here. Those aren't real. That was just a movie." It's just a movie, Nate. Number 1, Cherie Zampino. Don't recognize that name? Well, only hardcore Will Smith fans might, because Cherie is Will's ex-wife. Briefly married in the mid-90s, Will and Cherie were adorable together, regularly appearing at red carpet events and movie premieres. Adorable and inseparable. It's so cute. But behind the scenes, things weren't peachy at all. It was revealed on an episode of Red Table Talk that Jada Pinkett-Smith briefly partook in an affair with Will in 1995. Jada claims that Cherie and Will were towards the end of their relationship and was simply in her eyes dating a newly divorced man. She would later admit that technically that wasn't true, and while Will was divorced, hadn't really come into play yet. Cherie discovered what was taking place and went off on the couple, and not long after, ended the marriage. In 2018, the two got back together to speak candidly about the incident on Red Table Talk. Just another one of the terrible, terrible episodes that I truly recommend that you don't watch.
At number 10, we have her bringing Will on her podcast. Jada has a podcast with her mother and their shared daughter, and she has celebrity guest stars on it often as well. There was one point where she even decided to have Will on said podcast. But it wasn't just a get to know you kind of segment. She wanted to publicly record them talking about the issues in their relationship. As you can expect, she benefited from it, because she can be an awful person like that. And she was the only one of the two of them who felt like it helped emotionally and mentally. Will was distraught for most of the episode and just looked crushed and defeated throughout it. Of course, it went viral, and even now, the sad Will Smith memes are still fairly popular. The episode made it more than obvious that he's been really unhappy in his marriage, and we can't really blame him, honestly. It made the top of the list because Jada seemed so happy to be there and discussing the issues that humiliated him, even though she could clearly see how upset it made him. And if that doesn't sum up their marriage, I don't know what does. At number 8, we have her boyfriend sharing his side of the story. While she and Will were on an apparent break in their marriage, she decided it would be okay to have another relationship with rapper August Alsina, who happened to be one of her son's close friends. However, after rumors started circulating, he did an interview with Vulture and said that his coming clean about their relationship was to clear the air, and that it was necessary to move forward in their relationship together. On the opposite end of this, Jada was trying trying to cover it up for the duration of their fling. And when he let the cat out of the bag, she had nowhere to hide. I mean, who wouldn't want to hide when you're dating someone while still legally married and he happened to be 20 years younger than you? He agreed with Jada that their relationship was an entanglement because it was complex and taboo, and the only reason they didn't work out was because the news of their relationship was detrimental to his work life, not just his personal life. So not only did she embarrass Will by dating someone else while they were legally married, she embarrassed August and made his life extremely complicated, all for a few months of fun. At number 8, we have filming without Will's permission. This one is a little less drastic than some of the other points on the list, but she made Will very uncomfortable and didn't really understand what she was doing wrong. After the Chris Rock incident, people were going back through their media documented marriage moments just to see if she's done anything like that before, and a lot of people landed on one specific clip of Jada's Instagram Live from 2019. She was talking about their marriage counselor and faced the camera towards Will and asked if their counselor was really helping them redefine their marriage. He looked annoyed and rather uncomfortable, then responded with, "I would say just don't start filming without asking me first if you could." But instead of respecting his wishes, she continued to try and film his response, with limited success. So while she didn't embarrass him on live television, she did embarrass him on her Instagram Live. At number 7, we have attempting to defend their marriage. Jada has put her foot down a handful of times, stating that they didn't have an open relationship, but she had posted some Facebook comments and made comments that contradict that. On her Facebook page, she attempted to clear up the rumors and help the situation, but all it did was open a can of worms. She said that they had an unconventional marriage, and while they aren't in an open relationship, monogamy is something they choose. That isn't entirely true. Monogamy was something she chose. It was something that Will would follow through with through their entire marriage. He didn't run around with his kids' friends and then defend the relationship because they were on a break. She also said that they both had the option to do whatever they pleased because they trusted each other, which seems like she was trying to shift the blame to make her look less like the bad guy. She finished the post by saying they did not have an open relationship, they have a grown one. This is contradictory in itself because her actions only made them grow apart rather than as a couple, and she was the only one in the relationship doing the growing. At number 6, we have her talking about their relationship issues. Like I had mentioned in an earlier point, Jada hosts a podcast with her mother and her daughter, which is called Red Table Talks, if you want to look for it. On one of the episodes they had recorded, she had the ever so hated Gwyneth Paltrow as a guest star. Part of their discussion was about intimacy, both in general and in their relationships. So in classic Jada fashion, she opened up about her intimacy issues with Will. Not only did she publicly have a long-term relationship with one of her son's friends, but she also had the nerve to blame their intimate issues on Will. She admitted she wanted him to read her mind to know what she liked, rather than communicating her feelings like an adult. She then claimed that she expects her partner to know what she likes, even if she never verbally shared how she felt, and finished off by saying she just somehow wasn't satisfied with him. Not only did she embarrass herself on her podcast, but she also embarrassed Will right along with her. At number 5, we have the clash with Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg is known across the world for his music, his silly antics, his hefty interest in herbology, and for popping up in the most random places, like on a talk show with Kevin Hart, a cooking show with Martha Stewart, and a Bit commercial. Everyone knows who he is. So when Jada attempted to go toe-to-toe with him after Kobe Bryant's accident, it made everyone hide their eyes in secondhand embarrassment. After Bryant's passing, it came to light that he was in a court case for having lack of communication with a 19-year-old. This was before he married his wife, I might add. The case was dropped due to lack of evidence, and the accuser had nothing concrete. He then married his wife in 2001, so it had been almost 2 decades since the incident. Gayle King brought up the case during his wake, which was really disrespectful and uncalled for. It caused insane backlash from people and celebrities alike, and Snoop Dogg was one of them who made it very clear clear how he felt about the situation. Jada didn't like his response and invited him on her podcast in an attempt to clear things up. She claimed she felt hurt on behalf of all women because of the way he spoke to Gail, and she felt like he had taken power away from her, her mother, and her daughter, which makes no sense. Gail overstepped her boundary and Snoop called her on it. The situation had literally nothing to do with Jada. She just happened to see it and felt like she needed to be involved. At number 4, we have her mocking the party he threw. For Jada's 37th birthday, Will decided it would be a great idea to throw a massive surprise party. Now, it wasn't just their celebrity friends and some close family and what have you. He hired party planners to set it up and spent 3 days planning and getting everything ready. He even booked Mary J. Blige to perform for her. Talk about a birthday gift. But that's not all. He traced her family roots and invited her family members from her long line of lineage. Not only did he find her family, he went out of his way to reach out to them and invite them to the party. You'd think she would appreciate his labor of love, but instead she threw it back in his face, claiming he only did it to display his ego. And she hated the fact that he went out of his way to throw her the party. He admitted he was devastated when she said those hurtful things, and it even sent him on a downward spiral that negatively impacted his life. This should have been one of the biggest of many red flags. At number 3, we have her feelings for Tupac. For those of you who don't know, Jada was in a long-term relationship with Tupac years before she met Will, and his untimely passing was the end of their relationship. It's normal and even healthy to miss someone who passed, especially when you were romantically involved with them for a few years. But in 2012, while she and Will were still married, she posted a picture of her and Tupac in a very intimate embrace and captioned the photo, "I miss him." It makes sense wanting to share your deep feelings with the world, especially when they're affecting you most. But it was a questionable photo to choose to post, especially when you're married to someone else. Not to mention, Will and Jada's daughter Willow wrote a letter addressed to Tupac after he passed because Willow claimed she knew he was still alive. One of the lines in the letter read, "Can you please come back so mommy and me can be happy? I think mommy really misses you." It seems sweet and rather innocent, but at a young age, she was aware of how much he still had a hold on Jada, and she wanted him to come back into their lives, which at that point seemed like it could have been the end of Will and Jada's marriage. Nothing came of it, obviously, but it makes you question how much Willow really knew about the situation. At number 2, we have how she never really wanted to marry Will. When you get married to someone, it's supposed to be forever. That's the point of marriage, is to link two people's lives together for a lifelong commitment of love and trust. So it's less surprising what Jada did in their marriage when she admitted she never really wanted to get married. She and Will got married when they were very young, and it was actually Jada's mother who pressured her into the marriage because she really liked Will and saw the potential in him. However, that decision aged poorly because of her heinous actions that I covered in some of the points above. For Will's birthday, she posted a fairly old photo of them with their 2 kids and one of Jada's sons from one of her previous relationships. Many fans sent birthday wishes, but there were a few who made snarky remarks and rehashed lines from Red Table Talks, contradicting the post. Some people commented on how she didn't love him romantically, and a clip came up of her saying how she cried all the way down the aisle because she didn't want to be married to him, and how she felt pressure to be wed, even though she never wanted to be married in general. At least she's happy with him 28 years later, with multiple affairs and many humiliating moments for both of them. And last but not least, at number 1, we have the slap. Of course, the infamous slap made number 1. The situation went down at the 94th Academy Awards, and that same evening, Will actually won the Best Actor award for his performance in King Richard. But that wasn't the only performance that night. He and Jada were sitting relatively close to the front when Chris Rock was on the stage accepting an award and made a joke directed at Jada. He was referencing her bald head when he asked if she was going to be in G.I. Jane. Will laughed because Chris Rock is funny, and Jada wasn't having it. She rolled her eyes and looked at Will with a piercing gaze because she wanted him to do something about it. So he waltzed up on stage and gave Chris Rock a full swing slap to the face, then proceeded to yell at him, saying to keep Jada's name out of his mouth. Of course, the meme circulated and everyone heard about it. But Jada came out later saying that she'd been struggling with alopecia for years, and at this point, all she could do was laugh or not take it to heart. Neither of which she did when she ended up getting her and her husband blacklisted from the Academy Awards. next.
Starting off our list today in the number 10 spot, we have the entanglement. Jada pretty much devoted a 2020 episode to her relationship with her husband Will Smith during an episode of her controversial Facebook watch series, The Red Table Talk Show. When the couple sat down to discuss R&B singer August Alsina's claim that he got Will's blessing to have a relationship with Jada, on the show Jada would admit that she did start a relationship with August during a brief separation from Will around 4 years prior. Will would then come out to say, "I was done with you. We decided that we were going to go separate ways for a period of time, and you would figure out how to make yourself happy, and I'll figure out how to make myself happy. I really wished we could be over." Jada then went on to elaborate on what she was doing within the brief break when she said, "I got into a different kind of entanglement with August. It was a relationship, absolutely. I was in a lot of pain and I was very broken." Jada then went on to note that the process of her relationship helped her realize that she couldn't find happiness outside of herself, and she was lucky that her and Will realized that they just couldn't stay away from each other. Number 9. Discipline Trey. When it comes to discipline, we all know that Will and Jada have chosen to let their kids deal with their own consequences, and maybe this is because Jada once tried to discipline Will's first son Trey, which he shares with his ex-wife. Back in 2018, Jada would invite Will's ex-wife to join her on an episode of the Red Table Talk Show, and in the midst of the episode, they would talk about co-parenting Will's son Trey and how Jada had some regrets when it came to it. With the two ladies having a really tough relationship at the beginning of their blended family situation, Cherie Zampino would reveal that they once even had a heated conversation on the phone where they exchanged some fighting words, as she called to talk to her son, but first she had to speak to Jada. And in the process, Cherie revealed that she wasn't being really respectful, and she even told Jada she was living in the house that she picked, to the point Jada also said, "It's my house now." Jada would also open up about the time she tried to discipline Trey, to the point Will even had to step in and put the star into her place and tell her that it was his son, not hers. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never have to miss on what we might just cover next. Coming in at number 8, we have The Root of the Matter. In the web series' 3rd episode, Jada would confess that the head wrap she was wearing with increasing frequency wasn't just a fashion statement, because in reality the star had been losing handfuls of hair, and with it she couldn't pinpoint the reason. Doctors then suspected that it could be because she was having a stress-related alopecia episode. Jada then went on to share the moment when she first realized her hair was falling out by saying, "It was one of those times in my life where I was literally shaking with fear, and that when I was like, oh my god, am I going bald?" She then put things in a spiritual perspective to get through it. The higher power takes so much from people, and by golly, if the higher power wants to take your hair, that's it. God, you want my hair? When I looked at it in that perspective, it really did settle. Number 7, Jordyn Woods. 2019 was definitely an intense year for Jordyn Woods when she got caught up in the Tristan Thompson cheating scandal and saw the first initial split between him and Khloe Kardashian. After the Kardashians went on to drag Jordyn's name by March 2019, Jordyn would be ready to share her side of the story. And she even took a lie detector test to prove her involvement in the dissolution of Khloe and Tristan's relationship wasn't all on her. In the interview, Jordyn would reveal that she never once danced with the star, she was never making out with him, and she didn't sit all over him, and he was actually just hanging out with her and a group of her friends. In the end, Jordyn would tell Jada that she just wanted everyone to be accountable for their own actions, and she didn't want anybody to feel the way she had been feeling. By December of 2019, her results of the lie detector test would come back and prove that she passed and she was 100% honest. When she was asked multiple questions about her involvement with Tristan Thompson in the scandal. Number 6, Olivia Jade. In December 2020, Olivia Jade would make her first appearance on the Red Table Talk Show following the college admission scandal, in which her parents paid roughly $500,000 to secure Olivia and her sister admission at the University of Southern California. Jade, who is a YouTube influencer, noticeably went quiet during the Varsity Blues investigation that found both of her parents to be guilty in the process. She then decided, after Jada convinced her that the Red Table Talk was the right place for her to share her side of the story, as when she finally made it onto the show, she would say, "I'm here because I want to leave it on the Red Table Talk Show. I don't want to keep dragging this throughout my life." During the episode, Jada's mother was not impressed with Jade taking a seat, and she would say, "I just found it really ironic that she chose 3 black women to reach out for her redemption story. It's bothersome to me on so many levels. Her being here is an epitome of white privilege." Number 5. Betrayals of the Heart. In an episode posted to Jada's controversial Red Table Talk Show Watch series, she would get real when she opened up about her marriage and how it wasn't easy and that there was a lot of betrayals when it came to her and her husband's Will's heart. While Jada used the episode to explain all the nagging rumors that were surrounding her marriage with Will and apparently how the couple aren't with each other, she also went on to allude the worst transgressions she has noticed in their marriage. When Jada finally dived into the infidelity part of their relationship, she would say, "I'm asked a lot about it. Is there infidelity in your relationship with Will?" And it's like, no, but there have been other betrayals of the heart that have been far bigger than what I could think in regards to an infidelity situation. But what's more worse than cheating on your partner? Can someone just explain that to me? Number 4. Matthew McConaughey. During Matthew McConaughey's interview on the Red Table Talk Show, he would reveal that he and his mother, fellow guest Kay McConaughey, had fallen out over her interactions with the press, an estrangement that lasted from 1996 to 2004, when he said, "As soon as I got famous, I started to have my weekly Sunday call home to call my mom. Mother wasn't answering the phone. A fan of my fame was answering the phone." This then resulted in Matthew to have to take a step back in his life so he could figure out how he could balance his life and how fame was affecting it. As when he was sharing his personal details of his life with his mom, he would be finding them shortly show up in the 6 o'clock news 3 days later. So it resulted him not being able to talk to his mom as his mom for about 8 years. Number 3. The birds and the bees. It's not really surprising, considering Jada has been really open about her life in the bedroom, that a lot of her conversations and interviews on the Red Table Talk Show have become intimate stories that have worked their way from the bedroom into Red Table discussions. So much so, in fact, Jada has devoted an entire episode to talk about the birds and the bees. In the episode, Jada would learn Willow's first introduction and when it happened, when she walked in on both her mom and dad, and how Jada even joked about it on ET, saying, "Oh my god, I need to get this child some therapy." She was actually really embarrassed. But it couldn't get any worse as she revealed information on the intimate episode and when she was acutely aware of her children's experiences and how she just wants to input it into their conversation. But the whole thing was just really weird because what kind of parent invests themselves that hard into their child's business? Number 2. Jaden Smith. Celebrity parents clearly aren't immune to parenting heartbreaks, as Jada once even had to bring her son Jaden Smith on an episode of her show to speak about his emancipation thoughts. During the episode, Jada would say, "At 15 years old, Jaden and I remember this day specifically. It's probably one of the most heartbreaking moments of my life. You got to a point where you told me straight up, you were like, 'Mom, I have to leave here to live my life.'" Despite being devastated, Jada knew that she had to honor her son's feelings, adding, "Being in this lifestyle and in this world is a bubble and he wanted out. I understood that because I didn't have the bubble. I knew that having my freedom outside the bubble, what I gained from that. I knew the sooner I let him go, the faster he was going to come back. But if your child feels like they have to run away, then there's truly a problem." And coming in number 1 today, we have Girls Trippin'. After nearly 2 decades of not talking to each other, not even Jada Pinkett-Smith knew why she and Gabrielle Union had been locked in a feud for so long. So on May 28, 2020, during an episode of the Red Table Talk Show, the host invited her old friend on the show so they could once and for all settle their beef and squabble like grown women in order to do so. When announcing their feud, Jada would then come out to say, "Gabrielle and I were never really girlfriends. We were greatly associated that at some point that dissolved. And for like 17 years, we have not really spoken. We don't even know why we were so mad and what we were mad about." Jada would then go on to note that the whole thing was just very petty. Coming in at number 10, Jaden's real father. Jaden's birthday may not actually be his exact birthday, and with many of you speculating in the last video, he may not actually be Will Smith's child. Okay, so hear me out. It's been said that Jaden Smith was born on July 8th, 1998, but what if I told you the the actor was born in 1997. Now you're probably wondering who Jaden's father is about now, and if you haven't been able to do the math, just figure out that Tupac actually might be Jaden Smith's real father. Let me explain the math to you. So we all know Tupac passed away September 13th, 1996, and before he passed away, we know he was completely in love with Jada, and that Will was so jealous of their close bond. However, on top of Will's jealousy, something just doesn't add up when it comes to Jaden's birthday. With Jaden being born in July 8th and Tupac's passing being in September of 1996, just 10 months beforehand, it suggests that the Smith family covered up Jada's pregnancy for over a year before announcing she was pregnant, and then when the star actually finally gave birth, she kept Jaden's day a secret, so people wouldn't speculate that he was really Tupac's son. And she could keep this perfect family image, and if you don't believe me, just look at Tupac's photos and Jaden's photos, they look alike. Number 9, the bald head. So from the last video, a lot of you have been questioning to why Jada would shave her head if she didn't have alopecia. So after diving deep through all of your comments, I saw one of you mention that you knew Jada was lying for a while now, as she once told all of her followers that the reason she went bald in the first place is because her daughter asked her to go bald and she agreed. After then diving into the internet to see if the comment was true, I was shocked to find out this comment was 100% true, as Jada only started whining about her alopecia condition after the 2022 Oscars. And this is when she retracted her previous statement and tried to explain to the world that Willow made her shave her head because it was time to let go of her balding head. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never have to miss out on what we might just cover next. Coming at number 8, we have the plastic surgery. With the scars on Jada's head not being caused by alopecia, like she once told many of her fans and followers, it makes you wonder what the scar could have been caused by. Well, with many theories circulating on TikTok, among the footage made would also be a video made by a hair surgeon named Dr. Gary Linkoff, in which he discussed Jada's alopecia. With the video now receiving over 1.2 million views, in one snippet Gary would address the scar that is on top of her head that she has pointed out on social media numerous times. While Gary went on to note that there isn't a single hair loss condition that he knows that could even cause such a linear scar marking of the hair loss she has, he would go on to note that he strongly believes that Jada may have had a brow lift done, as the purpose of this traditional brow lift procedure she has had done is to remove any sagging skin from the brow by pulling back towards the top of your head. And this is where her scar is resting in the typical incision that is done by this procedure. And it isn't really far-fetched in the slightest way to believe that she did in fact have this brow lift done. And the fact that we can still see the hair particles on her head to where the scar exists shows that she might just be trying to cover up her plastic surgery procedure. Number 7, forced to marry Will. Jada Pinkett-Smith once said that she cried on her horrible wedding day during an episode on her infamous Facebook Red Table Watch series. In the episode, the actress would admit that she's never really agreed to the construct of marriage and that she never wanted to be married. With Jada saying, "I didn't want to get married, and now Gammy's gonna run to Will crying about I don't want to have a wedding. Now I'm being forced to have a wedding when I really just wanted it to be the two of us on a mountain because this is serious business." It would cause Jada's mother to apologize for not respecting her wishes. Later in an episode, Jada then went on to say, "I was so upset that I had to have a wedding. I went crying down the freaking aisle. I cried the whole way." Meanwhile, Will would go on to say he wanted a family since he was at the age of 5 and he wanted to get married and have this perfect family, and he was really excited on the wedding day. However, when you're a grown adult, you have the power to make your own decisions. No one really forces you to get married. Also, if you look at photos on the couple's wedding day, not only was she glowing, but she was also seen with the biggest smile we have ever seen her have on her face. Number 6, hated her surprise party. Will and Jada's relationship has been the talk of the town since 2015, since August Alsina went public. In July of 2022, a video would surface on the internet and Jada would come under fire for her reaction to a surprise party Will threw for the star. After Will took 3 years to plan her 40th 40th birthday party on her show, Jada would mention that her 40th birthday party made her hit this midlife crisis. Will then took his time to make sure the whole day went perfect by hiring a team to orchestrate her 40th birthday party, and he even had a documentary team trace down Jada's family roots, including some very exclusive tapes that Jada's grandmother recorded for her before she passed away. Will wanted the day to be so perfect to show Jada that he had all this love for her, but to Will's surprise, Jada acted like she didn't even like the party at all, and she even went on to crush the star for it. Any girl would have swooned over the idea that their husband took this much time to plan something like this, because the sad reality is today, no one does something as sweet as this anymore, and girls have resorted into buying themselves flowers because men won't do it for us. So when Jada said she didn't like it, she was really just mad at the fact that she's never loved Will, and he knows that, but he still tries to shower her with love, so maybe she will love him back one day. Also, let's face it, if she didn't like the day, she wouldn't still be talking about it. She just wanted to embarrass her husband for treating her like a queen, because she'll never stop treating him like he's a peasant. Number 5, helped August. With Jada admitting that she had an affair with August Alsina, she would then go on to note that August was troubled during their relationship and that she was helping him deal with a lot of things. When the actress sat down with the Post, she would say, "You can look at August and see that there's a certain amount of pain that he is feeling, and you can hear the words that he's trying to speak his truth while he's still protecting the Smith family in the process." With Jada previously saying that she was mentoring him throughout their relationship, it really has us all wondering what kind of mentoring she was giving him, as in the end of their relationship, he was left feeling like he gave his all to their relationship, and he was only left feeling devastated and hurt. It's clear Jada never helped August, and all she really wanted to do was destroy him. During their relationship, August was already dealing with abandonment issues, as he was abandoned by his parents and he was hustling just to make ends meet. He was also struggling with an autoimmune condition that caused him to be hospitalized on multiple occasions. And one time he even ended up in coma for 3 days. Jada never helped him, and she took advantage of his situation, so she never had to feel lonely, and she just used August until she could convince Will that he couldn't stay away from her. Number 4, hates blonde women. So if you watch the Red Table Talk show, then you know Jada once admitted that she hates white women, especially if they have blonde hair. However, you know what's strange about her claim? It's that the actress also dons blonde hair from time to time. With Jada claiming that she only hates blonde white women because they bullied her in high school, it made us all look back to think about how many blonde girls we actually went to high school with. There's not that many, okay? Maybe like 3 to 4 in your whole class, let alone your whole school, depending where you are. Moving on, if blonde hair really triggered her, then why has she gone on to don the same look? Because if she truly had this trauma, when it came to blonde hair, we probably wouldn't see her donning these looks. Not to say that she hasn't been bullied, but I strongly believe that everyone has been bullied at some point in their life, but she just definitely doesn't have a bias towards blonde women, and it's clear if she does, she likes to become the people she hates. Number 3, discipline kids. Will and Jada have been very vocal about their decision not to punish their kids, as Jada strongly believes that their kids should have to suffer their own consequences and figure out how to dig themselves out of their own holes. However, this definitely isn't the case, as they have been exposed for punishing their kids on multiple occasions. The first incident is when Will and his ex-wife had to call Jada out for punishing Will's first son, Trey, to the point Will even had to put the actress in her place and pretty much told her that she couldn't punish a kid that wasn't hers no matter how he acted. The second being when police and social services started to investigate Will and Jada after photos of Willow started to go viral online, and it was stated that Willow was looking a little malnourished. And the third incident would be the fact that Jada also forced her kids to attend the New Leadership Academy, which happens to be a school she helped open in one of her homes for the Church of Scientology. And the school strictly had the entire curriculum based off of Scientology teachings. And if you force your kids to study a cult-based curriculum, that's just another form of punishment, to the point it's not really surprising to why their children feel abandoned and had thoughts about leaving home when they were still teenagers. Number 2, loves her family. I strongly believe that Jada has never really truly loved her family, because let's face it, the only one Jada can ever love truly is herself. Have you ever noticed when Jada's family brings up their problems, she can't just wait to bring them onto her infamous Facebook watch series. So she can discuss all the details about the problems within it, and it makes it look like she isn't the problem in many of these issues. It just seems like Jada knows her career isn't going anywhere, and in the process of her realization, she knows she has to rely on her famous family and their personal issues to make her famous. As not only has Jada exposed her family, but in the process she has lied, manipulated, and belittled her family to show that she has no shame in her actions, and if she really was a loving wife, daughter, mother, and friend, she wouldn't be hurting her loved ones and exposing them the way she is. And coming in at number 1 today, we have her relationship with Tupac. Okay, so you all know how Jada has been like preaching about her relationship with Tupac and how it's always been strictly platonic. Well, it seems like this may not be the case, as Jaden Smith has once even stated that the late rapper even once proposed to his mother in an interview, and it goes on to prove that her relationship with Pac was definitely more than just platonic. In the past, Jada has spoken about how she had a really close relationship with Tupac on numerous occasions, and that the two met when attending the Baltimore School for the Arts together in the 1980s. With Jaden admitting that Jada and Pac were best friends, it would then prompt Big Boy to make a joke saying, well, they say marry your best friend, but I'm glad they didn't. A sentiment Jaden first agreed with while laughing. However, in another interview, he then would go on to whine about how he wished his dad was Tupac, but lucky for him, his dad actually might be Tupac. Starting off our list today at number 10, we have the ex-wife interview. Jada is known to invite just about everyone on her Red Table talk show, so it really shouldn't be a surprise when we found out that she invited Will Smith's ex-wife, Cherie, and during the interview, they would talk about a time that Jada actually thought it was okay to discipline Will's son, Trey. With both ladies describing their sides of the story, Jada would start things off by saying, I can remember some times that I really crossed the line. There was one time Trey had a play date and he misbehaved, and I was like, we gotta sit down, we gotta talk about this. Trey can't be behaving this way. And Cherie shared her version by adding, I literally walked into the house, just dropped him off, and as I walked in, Jada was like, listen, we gotta talk about his behavior, and I was like, go get his daddy, please. Why were you talking about what happens at my house over here? This behavior was at my house, but you can't really discipline someone else's kids and think it's okay. Number 9, forced marriage interview. During an interview with People magazine, Jada would tell the media outlet that she never wanted to get married, and she ultimately only ended up getting married because her mother told her she had to get married. With Jada's mother being old and Will wanting a family, in the end Jada agreed to getting married as she was forced to believe that it was something she really should have done. Even though she admitted that she fell hard for Will when they first started dating in 1995, she would also admit that after she got pregnant with their son Jaden 2 years later, she wasn't necessarily down to have a traditional wedding. Later on in the interview, Jada would then say that the reason she was having so much doubt when it came to the idea to marriage, even though she adored Will, was because she never really seen a happy marriage and it made her not fond of the idea. And honestly, that's probably why she ended up cheating on Will in the first place. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming at number 8, we have Willow's photo. When Jada sat down for an interview with high-end shopping site Net-a-Porter, she would have to come to her daughter's defense again after she was asked about the controversial photo of Willow being 13 years old laying in bed with the shirtless 20-year-old photographer. Jada would then go on to tell the interviewer, just don't pollute something that's not dirty. It's really tough. I feel like the connection to value of women on a bigger scale has decreased tremendously. Even though you look and go, women have so many opportunities, and it's like, yeah, but at what cost? Are women valued for being women, or are they valued when they have more masculine qualities? She then went on to note that she just wants her kids to be happy and just wants them to be themselves, as her kids aren't her and she can't fix things that happen to her by projecting her thoughts onto her kids because it's a terrible trap, and that's why she stood by Willow's decision and made all of us cringe in the process. Number 7, Scientology. Okay, so we all know Jada's a little weird, and that's probably because over the last decade she's been trying to deny that she has any affiliation with the Church of Scientology. And then after she was exposed by an ex-Scientologist for not only being spotted at the Celebrity Center, but also for opening a school for the controversial religion for kids, Jada would then bring Lee on her Red Table talk show, and she would clear the air by trying to settle their dispute back in 2018. And in the interview, it definitely had a lot of us raising our eyebrows because we just couldn't believe that Jada was lying through her teeth just to justify why she was going to the church in the first place. During the interview, Jada would say, "My grandmother was like, you're gonna learn all the religions, and then you gotta decide which one you want to practice. I always took the position that I'm here at the Scientology Center to learn what I want to learn, and I have no interest in being a Scientologist." And that statement would have been fine if it was the truth, but you can't open a Scientology school for kids and then say you have no intention of being a Scientologist when you're already affiliated with the religion. Number 6, parenting. With Jada and Will Smith being A-list celebrities at one point, it's no surprise that their children also grew up in the limelight. However, as any aspect of a celebrity, being a famous parent has sometimes led to increased scrutiny for Jada. Jada's and Will's parenting has often come under fire for years, which would then cause Jada to sit down with US Weekly to explain the Smiths are very open about a wide variety of subjects when she said, "I'm not a conventional parent, which I take a lot of pride in." And then in 2018, Jada would also admit that she and Will had different parenting approaches and often argued over the subjects like their son Jaden Smith wearing a skirt. She would then take to her Red Table talk show to embarrass her husband by saying he has his feelings on that for sure. I remember Will calling me and being like, "Have you talked about this with Jaden and him wearing a skirt?" And I said, "Yes, I have. He's pretty happy about it." But honestly, the fact that she's gotten her kids to even turn on their father during interviews just proves that she isn't exactly the role model parent everybody should be following. Number 5. Open marriage. Jada and Will Smith have faced a lot of scrutiny over their marriage to the point they have become a laughingstock or a hero to other people who have a non-conventional approach when it comes to their love life. In 2013, Jada would sit down for an interview with HuffPost Live, and she would admit more fuel to the fire behind the rumors surrounding her open marriage, when she would insist that she and Will had no claim over each other's lives. She would then go on to say, "I've always told Will, you can do whatever you want as long as you can look at yourself in the mirror and be okay." She then insisted that she was here to be his partner, but at the end of the day, Will had to learn how to be his own man. After the interview started to go viral, it faced a lot of backlash, and Jada would head to her Facebook page to clear everything up by saying, "Will and I can do whatever we want because we trust each other to do so. This doesn't mean we have to be in an open relationship, this means we have grown. But if you aren't in an open relationship, how do you explain your affair with August Alsina? And how are you able to look at yourself in the mirror and be okay with the fact that you embarrass your husband every single day?" Number 4. Interviewed herself. In the aftermath of the whole August Alsina interview, Jada Pinkett-Smith would admit that there was some healing that needed to take place, and she would tweet that she would be interviewing herself as the next subject on her Red Table Talk episode, and Will Smith would be joining her. In the episode, we would see Will share his side of the story, and watching him find peace in the process while bringing up all of his core thoughts of pain was honestly just heartbreaking to see. Although Jada would confirm that she had an affair with August, she also went on to clarify that her and Will were temporarily separated when it happened, and then she went on to deny August's allegations of Will giving the singer his blessings. With the interview being watched more than 30 million times, it quickly went viral, and Jada's repeated use of the word entanglement rather than affair became an online target for jokes, as did a picture that showed Will in tears. Number 3. Embarrass Snoop Dogg. With Snoop Dogg being a good friend to Jada Pinkett-Smith, I don't think any of us really believed that she could do something so cruel to embarrass her good friend during an interview on her Red Table Talk show. But she did. So we all saw Gayle King come for Kobe in 2020 after he passed away and claimed that the basketball legend was accused of making unwanted advancements towards an unnamed woman. Snoop, being clearly upset with the fact people were choosing to ruin Kobe's legacy in an attempt for fame, would then take to his Instagram to post a video where he would call Gayle out by insulting her appearance and telling her, "Back off, B, before we come get you." As a result of the outburst, Jada would then force the rapper to make an appearance on her Red Table Talk show so she could clear the air. But in the process, she showed no mercy and ended up embarrassing Snoop Dogg by saying, "When you first came out and said what you said, you know, in regards to Gayle, my heart dropped. I felt like not only were you talking to Gayle, but you were also talking to me. I was like, oh no, Snoop has now taken his power flow away from me, away from Willow, away from my mother." Snoop Dogg then ended up feeling so ashamed that he even issued Gayle an apology. But honestly, even though he was in the wrong, there was no need to embarrass him in front of the whole world when this just could have been a private conversation between two old friends. Number 2. Racial bias. During a Red Table Talk interview, Jada would reveal what triggers her the most when it comes to white women, when she opened up about her relationship she has with white women and women of color, and then she revealed a surprising revelation of how she views women with blonde hair. When she went on to say, "I think what crushes me specifically in my relationship with white women, the thing that really breaks my heart, is that white women understand what it feels like to be oppressed." She then went on to admit her own racial biases when she said, "I have to admit I'm guilty to that to a certain degree because I do have my biases, specifically to blonde women. Blonde hair on white women just triggers me. I've had to catch myself." Jada then went on to explain she harbors such hateful thoughts when it comes to white women with blonde hair because all throughout her childhood, all she can remember is being teased by them in regards to her hair, how she looked, and how they made her feel belittled. But I think we can all agree that she was just sneak dissing Margot Robbie. And probably me next, who knows. And coming at number 1 today, we have the dealer interview. When Jada appeared on Sway in the Morning back in 2017, she would reveal a lot of interesting things when it came to her and Tupac. In the interview, when Sway asked her to talk about their relationship, she would say, "One of the things that's very interesting that I've never really said before is that when I first met Pac, when we first met, I was a dealer." Jada then went on to explain that she wasn't going to jump into the full details of their relationship because she was going to write a book on it, but then she would explain that she had to leave that life behind and Pac behind because something really bad happened, so she had to leave, and as she was leaving, Pac was going into it, and there was a point in which she had to go her separate ways from Pac, and she went on to say, "And I just felt like, okay, God, one day you're going to do for Pac what you did for me, which is you saved me." It's clear that their relationship was complicated and we can't really grasp what she was trying to explain about their relationship, but it's clear that their relationship was based on survival more than it was romance.